Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a portable axe throwing target that hopefully can also be used at night. First I'm going to take these 2x10x8 and cut them in half. So on the back we're going to lay some 1x10s the opposite direction. So I'm going to measure this length and then cut the 1x10s that height. The center of the bullseye is supposed to be at 63 inches from the ground, so we're going to have to cut the 2x4 legs off 9 inches to get it the right height. Now that the legs are shorter, I'm going to measure up 39 inches, and that's where the bottom of the target is going to be attached. Now I'm going to mark out spots on the 2x4 every 9 1/4 inches so that they are in the center of these 5 boards. I'm going to drill some holes all the way through the center of the 2x4 so that we can put some holes in it for the carriage bolts. I'm going to mark 3 inches in and exactly in the center of each of the 1x10s for the back of the board. Now I'm going to mark a spot through the hole on the front boards. It's really important to make sure that the boards are pushed together before doing this. It's good to number the boards so that you remember the order. Now drill holes in each of the spots that you marked. We also need to put holes in the 3 center boards so that they're also held to the back. You'll notice there's a little bit of a gap here, so I'm going to move these 2 inches in so it's 3 inches on the front of the board. I forgot this on the first ones. It's important to counter set the bolts so that the axe isn't as likely to hit it. So you can see that it's much flatter now so that the axe will hopefully avoid it. I went back and counter set all the holes for the other bolts as well. Now I'm going to flip everything over and assemble the front, back, and the legs. So these are 6-inch carriage bolts. The ones in the middle are only 2.5 inches long. Now I'm going to put the boards on the bolts. And now hopefully the legs will fit on. Now I'm going to put a washer and a nut on the back side of each. Now I'm going to tighten them with this bit. Now we're going to move it into the grass and flip it over to paint the front. As you can see, the counter set has got the heads of the bolts in pretty far. Next I'm going to find the center of the target. Now I'm going to make 3 rings, 7 inches out, 17, and 27 inches out from the center. I'm going to take a small nail and pound it into the center. So for the first one, half of 7 is 3.5. So I'm going to put a mark there. Just keep spinning it around, marking it on each side to make sure that I'm keeping the distance from the center. The next one is 17, so put it at 8.5 and then mark 17, mark 17, mark 17. And for the outer ring, it's going to be 27, so we're going to put it at 13.5, and then I'm going to mark 27. Now I'm going to take the string and do a circle around the 7 inches. 17. The final one's 27. What I think is I need to put a couple of more marks to make sure that I'm on track because the circle is so large. Next I'm going to mark an inner circle on each of those so I know how thick of line to make. Then I'm going to use fluorescent paint so we can play this in the dark with a black light. The two smaller circles are 40 1/4 inches up from the base to the center of it, 5 1/2 inches in from the seam to the center of it, and they're 2 5/8 inches in diameter. And I'm going to do one more coat just to make sure that the paint is thick enough. Okay, now I'm going to make the base. I cut these 2x4s off by 9 inches so that they would match the length of the other 2x4s to fit in the car. And I'm going to measure in 2 feet and put some holes in here to attach to the post 2 feet in. To attach the base, I'm going to put this back up on the sawhorses. Now I'm just going to put the bolts in right away. Next, I'm going to put this brace to support some of the weight from the axes when they get thrown. I'm going to cut off 45-degree angles. Alright, it should be done. Just have to tip it up and try throwing the axes. Now that we've got the board done, we're going to set up the black lights. So we've run a couple of extension cords over here, and we're going to clip them to some stands. Now measure out 12 feet from the front of the target to tape a line. Before we show you how long it takes to disassemble the target and put it back together, one helpful thing to remember is use one of these sprayers to wet down your target before you throw the axes. Before taking it apart, it's good to mark each of the spots so that you know where they go back together when you're putting it together again. Now we're going to show you how long it takes to take it apart and put it back together. We got some thinner bolts so that we can pound them through. This would be a great time, if you haven't already subscribed, to click on that subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you can get the latest Minnesota cold updates. And 15 minutes, 10 seconds. After rearranging the boards, we realized we can still fit all 4 people of our family and the target into the car. Take your pick which way. Now I'm going to paint the axes with fluorescent paint so they show up under the black light.
Oh, he's getting serious.
You must stand 12 feet back from the board to throw the axe. Anytime most of your axe is on the line or within the pink, you get 1 point. On the line or within the green, you get 3 points. And then mostly on the line or within the orange, you get 5 points. And these little circles up here at the top, if you call that ahead of time on your 5th throw, you can get 7 points. But you gotta call it, you gotta hit it. If you don't, then you don't get any points at all. There are a couple different versions of scoring in axe throwing. One of them is 3 rounds of play. You pick your score for the first round and compare it with your opponent's after 5 throws, and whoever has the most wins that round. and you do the same with the second round and with the third round, and whoever wins the most rounds wins the match. The other version is you play 2 rounds, 5 throws for one player, 5 throws for the next, 5 throws for the other player, and 5 throws for the next, and you just add up the score. And make sure to subscribe and watch more Minnesota Cold and how-to videos of ours.